Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. We're on question number 154 for DevOps and SRE interview preparations. We're going to do so many of these that if you watch the videos and you try to remember or at least understand what's going on, you will be ready to face any DevOps SRE interviews. You would be a pro at that. Before I start, please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. That's free for you, but it's a big help for my channel. Okay, as you might remember, I did some research on LinkedIn jobs and figured out the 15 most important topics based on frequency of words. And I came up with these 15 topics sorted by number of words that came up, number of times the words came up. So the top ones like cloud is more important, and the bottom ones like system design is not so important. But as you can see, the number 15 system design came up 17 times out of 35 jobs. So they're still kind of important. You don't want to skip it altogether. So anyway, so today's topic is number 11, Kubernetes. As I mentioned before, I'm not sure why Kubernetes came up to be number 11. It really should be the top 4 or 5 topics for DevOps interviews. There's almost always a need for Kubernetes skill sets for any small companies you might want to work for. So it is very important, but data is one thing and intuition and experience is another. Okay, the question today is how can you have an SSL certificate in Kubernetes? That's the question. So the question, to give you a little bit more context, let's say you have a Kubernetes cluster, and for some reason, one of your application has a need for SSL certificate. Now, how would you put that in the cluster so that it can be used by your application that's hosted on a pod? That's the context of the question. Before I get to the answer, again, my career coach Floyd sponsor, floydsponsor.com, is giving away 1 hour free to anybody who's in the job market. So yeah, please take advantage of that. And I don't get any money from that. I'm not financially associated with him. He's just a great guy. Okay, so if you don't know what a secret is in Kubernetes, you should look that up. Maybe I should do a video on that. But secret is a configuration item in Kubernetes, just like many other things. So just like you have a pod, you have containers, you have config maps, all sorts of things. Secret is another type of item you can store in a cluster. So SSL certificate can be stored as a secret in Kubernetes cluster. And again, I really should do a different video on that. Yeah, you should look, or you can look up other videos on that, even you know what I'm talking about. That secret, once it holds the SSL certificate, can then be mounted on a pod. That itself is another topic that I should make a video on, how to mount something from how to mount a secret from Kubernetes cluster to a pod that's living in that cluster. But anyway, the idea is the SSL certificate is stored in a secret. That secret is mounted on a pod. Then once that pod has access to the certificate, it can do whatever it needs to do with it. For example, let's say that the pod is actually hosting a website, and that website needs to be served with a certificate, and that certificate can be used in the application that's running on the pod. So again, 3 steps. Certificate is going to secret is then mounted on a pod, and that pod is then using it for whatever use it has. That's the answer to this question. The reason for an interviewer to ask this question is for he or she wants to know how you work with different items in the cluster. The cluster is not one thing. It has many different types of items, and this pod is one. SSL a secret is another. So how do you work together? You have to demonstrate that you understand how they work together. That's the whole idea, right? Okay. If you have any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn or leave a comment below. And I hope this video was useful, and I will see you in the next one.